Hello, Garland Nixon here, and we're going to talk about the latest act from the Department of War, where Donald Trump has obviously attacked Doha, Qatar. Let's talk. Oops. Let's talk. Hello, Garland Nixon here. And in case you hadn't been paying attention, so the U.S. government, apparently, let's start here. See if I can find, okay, let's see. All right, let's start here. In case you don't know what's going on in the news today. Global outrage over Israeli strikes on Doha targeting Hamas leaders. UN, Arab, and Islamic states condemn Israeli strikes on Doha as violations of international law, voicing solidarity with Qatar and warning of escalation. There you go. You see the big bombs going on there. UN Secretary General condemned the Israeli strikes on Doha, calling them a flagrant violation of Qatar's sovereignty. Arab League Secretary General Ahmad Abul Gate also denounced the attack in the strongest terms. So what happened here? Let's go backwards a little bit here. Let's see. Okay, so what's happening? The Israelis. Let me try one more. Okay, let's look here. Hamas delegation survives Israeli assassination attempt in Qatar. Okay, and Israeli airstrikes hit Doha, targeting Hamas negotiators as the group reaffirms its commitment to a ceasefire and prison exchange deal. Let's see that going on there. We see bombings where something was bombed, of course. The damaged building. You see the damaged building there. The Israeli occupation military, in coordination with its internal security agency, Shin Bet, announced that it carried out an airstrike on the Qatari capital Doha, claiming to target the senior leadership of the Palestinian resistance movement, Hamas. They targeted members of the negotiating delegation while they were discussing the latest U.S. mediated proposal in Doha. However, a senior Hamas source told Al Mayadeen that the movement's negotiating delegation survived the Israeli assassination attempt. Reuters correspondents confirmed hearing loud explosions. So we're hearing that the assassination attempt failed. We've got there. Axios claimed the explosions are a result of an assassination attempt against the Hamas negotiating team. And we see U.S. greenlit the attack. Israel channel. Citing an Israeli official, Israel Channel 12 reported President Trump gave the green light for the Israeli occupation to launch airstrikes on Hamas leadership in Qatar. This channel added that Washington maintains control over Qatari airspace, requiring Israel to coordinate with the U.S. before carrying out such operations. The Qatari foreign minister condemned what he described as a cowardly Israeli attack. They stressed that Qatar would not tolerate any act undermining its security and sovereignty. Let's go a couple of places here. Reuters, they said the U.S. Embassy in Doha issued a directive advising American citizens to remain indoors and avoid unnecessary movement following the strike. So, a couple of things here. Apparently, the Americans, the White House has made some statements kind of, trying to say, implying that, not coming out saying that they didn't know it, but kind of implying that Israel made the decision. Oh, really? Israel made the decision? Let me show you something. Today is September 9th. Let me just make sure. Tuesday, September 9th. And this is one of the interesting things. I hear people discussing whether or not Trump knew it. Israel did it. Did they tell Trump? Let's go to yesterday. This was yesterday. Trump threatens last warning to Hamas with Israel-backed Gaza ceasefire plan. Trump officials have sent a new ceasefire proposal to Hamas, which, according to Israeli media, was drawn up by the Netanyahu government. Okay. U.S. President Trump has issued a new threat to Hamas to accept the fresh proposal for a ceasefire in Gaza as Israeli forces continue to bombard Gaza Gaza City. Trump on Sunday reiterated his demands for Hamas to release all of the remaining captives and threatened that this would be his, quote, last warning. Okay, think about this. So did Trump know about it? What are those words? Look at this right here. Trump on Sunday reiterated his demands for Hamas to release all of the remaining captives and threatened that this would be his last warning. Last warning. So if anybody's saying, well, I wonder if Trump knew, I wonder if Trump had any idea. The man issues his last warning. You better do what I tell you and accept the terms. First of all, what he's saying is that they're not negotiating. No, we're not negotiating. This is mafia. If I say, okay, we need a deal, and you say, okay, let me see the terms. Here are the terms of my deal. You better take the deal. Well, what happens if I don't take the deal? Let me put it like this. In the world of the drug cartels in South America, they have a let me see this. Watch this. Okay. There we go. They have a saying, plata o plomo in Spanish, right? Silver or lead, a phrase popularized by Colombia drug lord Pablo Escobar, meaning to either accept a bribe, silver, or face violence, lead. It also has been used in various cultural contexts, including music or literature, right? So when Trump said, look, we're giving you an offer for a ceasefire, all he was saying was plata o plomo, the silver or the lead. Here it is. Take this deal. But what if I don't want the deal? Then I'll kill you. That's what it is. Take the deal or I'll kill you. Trump issued his last warning. So that being said, let's reiterate. Let's review Donald Trump's method, or the U.S. empire's method of negotiating. They negotiated with the Iranians, and then they said to the Iranians, "Hey, look, guys, you're safe. We're guaranteed. Look, we are just right now. You can be confident that we're not going to act against you in any violent manner. We'll come back and talk to you on Sunday, and just lay low until then." And when they did that, they were plotting an attack with Israel. And the reason, and they also said, yes, Trump is having arguments with Israel, with Netanyahu. All of that was done to fake out Iran so that they could pretend, right? They could provide the illusion. Let's go one further. They could provide the deception that they were acting in good faith to negotiate terms to end this whatever kind of issue they had at the time with Iran, which was all a fraud anyway. They said it was over nuclear weapons when really it was not. They just wanted to do, they just wanted to do regime change, right? That's all it was about. It was a regime change operation. But they pretended to negotiate so that they could do their regime change, right? Now what happened here? We got negotiators in Doha and Qatar. You can be safe there because, hey, that's Qatar and those are our allies. How would we attack you in Qatar? Of course not. That's where you should negotiate with us. But what do? You got your last chance. Here's the deal. Is that a negotiate? Yeah, we're negotiating. Here's the deal. But this is your last chance to take it. What happens? Then we'll kill you. That's the Department of War, my friends. That's it. And you wonder why the Russians are just like glad-handing them. The Russians are like kind of pretending, yeah, sure. Oh man, we're working on this thing. Here's a deal. Give us a deal. Here's a proposal. Give us a proposal. The Russians are playing it. The Russians know. You know what they're saying? Here's another proposal that we know good and damn well that neither you or the Ukrainians will take. And here's what's interesting. The Russians say we're going to make a deal, right? And excuse me, they say we're going to negotiate with you, right? But understand something. This is a war and we're going to bomb the hell out of you. We're going to hit you with 1,000 drones and 30 or 40 missiles every single night. We're going to come down on you all along the conflict zone. We're going to give you hell. This is a war, and we're going to pound the hell out of you day and night. But we will negotiate it with you while we're pounding the hell out of you. But it is a war. Do not be misled, right? Think about this. And what do we see in the news, right? Trump, Putin doesn't want peace. Look at the Russians. They claim to be negotiating, but they bomb. Watch this. Watch this. Let's see. Russians bomb Ukraine during negotiations. I bet I can find an article. Wait a minute. Here's a good example. Let me show you the hypocrisy. Watch this. I'm going to show you something. Here's the hypocrisy. Putin's criminal. Why Putin targets Ukrainian civilians during peace talks? We're having peace talks. Peace talks. He's a madman. Why would you ever attack people during peace talks? Why would you have a war? Let's see what else we have. Let me find one. Oh, here's something. How terrible is this? Record-breaking Russian strikes during peace negotiations. Oh, no. Oh, no. What a terrible thing. The Russians are actually attacking Ukraine during peace negotiations, as we can see. The West is completely nonplussed over this. They're so upset. How could anybody possibly do anything like that during peace negotiations? Why, if there's peace negotiations, you got to stop the war. Just pretend there's a ceasefire because there's peace negotiations, right? Only one problem. The United States attacked the negotiating team for Iran and then bragged about it. Ha 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 ha. We killed the negotiators. They talked with us and they negotiated with us and they wouldn't take the deal that we gave them, so we killed them. Ha ha ha. Look what we did. We lied to them. We misled them. We bamboozled them. And while they were looking the other way, we attacked them. We killed them. We killed people in their country. Oh man, isn't that great? Look what we can do. We can pretend to negotiate with you, and while you're looking the other way, wham, we hit you in the head from behind. Ha ha. Oh no, the Russians during peace negotiation. Oh, look at this. Look at what this horrible thing that the Russians have done. You can see I can't stop crying. It's so bad. It's so bad what they've done. The Russians have done record-breaking strikes during peace negotiations. Despite Russian engagement with peace efforts, look at this. Russian strikes have reached unprecedented levels despite Russian engagement with peace efforts. Peace efforts. My God, those Russians. Look at this. Look at this. The hypocrisy. Despite Russian engagement with peace efforts, CIR analysis reveals that the first 6 months of 2025 saw some of the highest levels of destruction and civilian harm since the start of the full-scale invasion. They are absolutely upset that while they're having peace negotiations, the Russians would actually continue with the war. And like, just because they're having peace negotiations, the Russians should automatically just say, well, I guess since we are negotiating, that is the same as a ceasefire, so we won't fire any missiles at all anymore. That's what the Russians are supposed to do. The Russians are supposed to do that. And the Russians are evil because they won't stop the war during peace negotiations, while the US and Iran use peace negotiations as a deception to attack Iranians, and then attacked and killed some of the peace negotiators. And what have they done today? The US and Israel, again, the US controls Qatari airspace. Think about that. the U.S. and Israel, its proxy, attacked with an attempt to kill the entire negotiating team. And they warned them first, we gave you a deal. You better take the deal or else. We ain't taking a deal. Fair enough, then we'll kill you. Oh, hold on. We got to check something. Oh no, the Russians are attacking someone during peace negotiations. Oh, by the way, we're killing everybody on our peace negotiations. Therein lies the hypocrisy of the U.S. empire. Liars, cheats, thieves, pirates, cutthroats, scallywags, you name it. These people are the lowest of the low. So my point is, if you're Russia, and I know what Russia's doing, it is pretending to negotiate. Now, don't get me wrong. If Russia could get a deal and Russia could ensure that the deal would be kept, yeah, but how the hell do you ensure that the deal will be kept? I guess if the only troops, excuse me, I didn't get a lot of sleep for some reason last night. I couldn't sleep worth a crap last night. I think it was my own fault. I think I ate a bunch of stuff before bed that was like really spiced and had hot peppers and all that stuff. And then I got into bed. Oh, that was brilliant. That stuff gets your blood running. And of course I couldn't sleep then half the night. But at any rate, I digress. So you'll excuse me if I yawn a million times. So the bottom line is this, that's where we are. So at this point, I think it's time to say for Hamas that negotiations are over with the U.S. I mean, how do you negotiate with people that are constantly trying to kill you? I think that really Russia has to continue what it's doing, but Russia has to say, we ain't meeting you nowhere, though. I mean, they already know, the U.S. knows if they attack the Russian negotiating team, they get nuked. I think, really Russia and China know that they're stronger than the U.S. militarily in their respective regions and defensively. And they also know, particularly with China, that they got some aces to play. They know that they could crush our economy in a second. And I will add this, as much as the U.S. wants to attack Iran Iran could do some serious damage. So I think the U.S. is wary. Everybody thinks they're going to attack Iran. They may. But I know they're wary of it. I know they'd rather beat up on the little guys. Even then, I think even attacking Venezuela, they want to attack Venezuela, but what would they really do? They could fire some missiles and attempt a decapitation strike and kill some civilians, whether they do, right? So with Venezuela, the U.S. I'll put it like this. The one thing Venezuela should do is, if the U.S. says we want to negotiate with you, Venezuela should say not a chance. The Venezuela should say, here's what we'll do. Any negotiating teams stay in the same rooms with you guys. Because if you're in the room if they attack us, they attack you. But if I'm Venezuela, I'd say, come on, you guys attack everybody that negotiates with you. What kind of idiots do you think we are? No, sorry about that. I tell you what we'll do. We'll negotiate with you through the Russians. In other words, you meet with the Russians and the Chinese and somebody else, whoever else. You meet with some of our partners. And that's that. Or if we meet with you, we'll meet with you in Moscow, or we'll meet with you in Beijing. But we're not going to meet with you anywhere else, not on your terms, because we don't trust you. So, and even then, as I said, right now, the U.S. is in a bind because they want to attack Iran, but Iran can knock out the Straits of Hormuz, and they have a lot of cards to play. They can hit U.S. military sites and Israel really hard in the respective regions. And then they can cause great economic harm if necessary by attacking oil infrastructure in the region. So Iran has some cards to play that, however it turns out, they could severely hurt the United States. Venezuela, I'll say this, the U.S. couldn't invade Venezuela because they've armed 4 million citizens and their militias. So the U.S. really could not put troops on the ground because they would get cut to pieces by the revolutionary resistance movement. So they couldn't really do that. All they could do is throw some missiles around in Caracas and try to find Maduro or whoever. But even if they killed him, even if they got Maduro, even if they got the entire leadership of Israel, they couldn't go in there. The U.S. and their allies couldn't go in, because if they went in, if they sent people in, if they sent troops in, they would get attacked. And I mean, they would get torn to ribbons all over the place. I would not want to be a U.S. soldier in Venezuela with millions of people with guns just waiting to fight you. Not afraid to die, ready to fight. Nah. So the U.S. is in a position now where it's looking for people to bully. And the only people it can really bully is Hamas. The only people it can't bully Iran. They're trying to bully Lebanon, but it can't. It's trying to bully Hamas, but Hamas won't stop fighting. And so they just continue slaughtering civilians and just attacking. Think about this. Israel has now attacked Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Iraq. Now, this is just in the last couple of years. Iran. I mean, need I go on? Israel has attacked have they attacked since they started this? I don't know if they've attacked Jordan, maybe not. But pretty much every country in the region has been attacked by the US and Israel. So the bottom line is they're at war with the entire region. And of course, you've got the war going on in Ukraine. And of course, you got threats against Venezuela. And this is from the peace president. But I tell you, I think now at this point, no one should negotiate with the U.S. empire. That's it. If you do, you got to be out of your mind. I mean, you can pretend to negotiate, but not real. Anything else? Interesting. Now, what Iran is saying is this. Iran is saying that they're tying any meetings, right? It says Iran ties new nuclear talks to protection from future attacks. So Iran apparently is saying that if they want to, let me find it. Apparently they're saying if you want to talk with them, then you're going to have some guarantees against future attacks, guarantees against attacks while they're meeting, and I don't know how those guarantees would be upheld. You can't trust the U.S. empire, but Iran is smart enough. Here's the bottom line: they're creating a barrier that the U.S. can't. It's a barrier the U.S. can't cross. Bottom line is because the U.S. is because what they're saying to the U.S. is we're ready to talk to you, but you have to give us guarantees that you won't attack us. The bottom line is this: if the U.S. gives Iran guarantees that they won't attack them, that means they're allowing Iran to somewhat dominate the conversation. That means they're allowing Iran to set standards that they have to adhere to. Iran saying, if you want to meet with us, you have to do this. The U.S. empire doesn't do that, right? The U.S. empire's position is we're the boss. The U.S. empire's position is we set the rules, we set the standards, we decide everything, and then we violate them. See, that's the rules-based international order. That means we make all the rules and we can change them at will. And we're not going to keep the rules that we make. I mean, we're not going to adhere to the rules that we make or the promises that we make. Nothing. In fact, if you want to understand that, you should watch the video I did a couple days ago where I went over Vladimir Putin's original Empire of Lies speech. He talks about that the U.S. the West, they ain't going to pay any attention. They're going to only do things that they find advantageous. And if they make a deal and it's no longer advantageous, then they will renege on it. And for the U.S. to say to Iran, because the U.S. position is Iran, you have to do what we say no matter what. And now we've got to talk. And Iran says, well, we'll talk to you, but we need real guarantees that you won't attack us while we're talking. Real ones. And guarantees with us and other countries. Well, how can the U.S. do that? Because that would be admitting that the rules-based international order and U.S. hegemony no longer exists. That would be recognizing that Iran has a right to security concerns and needs. That Iran has a right to say to the U.S., you can or can't do this, or we won't talk to you unless you do this. And the U.S. is now adhering to it. They're recognizing Iran's agency as a nation, as an international player. And that is to say, If Iran says we'll meet with you, but you have to do X for us to meet with you, if you do X, you have recognized their agency. You have recognized that they have a right to do that. And you've also recognized that you can't force them to the table. So what the US says is you better come to the table, we'll kill you. Now, Iran has already demonstrated that they have the capability to hurt the US to protect themselves. They have the defensive capability, the offensive capability to protect themselves. And it seems to me most people now are assuming that Iran has improved their air defense system. So we know their offensive capabilities, which are actually, to be frank, better than the U.S.'s offensive capabilities, because we don't have hypersonic missiles and they do. They have, excuse me, as I said, excuse me, I'm yawning a lot because I get a lot of sleep. So they've got hypersonic missiles. They've got some real dominance in that region as far as missiles and drones, the ability to strike US. We've got vulnerabilities. I'll put it like this. We've got bases in the area, which we used to say those bases are there to help us dominate things, but now those bases are big fat targets for Iran and other people. And if we were to attack Iran, we don't know what might jump off elsewhere. There are bases there. There are bases in Africa. We got embassies in Africa. So the truth is, if the United States was to go to full-scale war with Iran, we don't really know how to judge Iran's total capabilities. So they could launch some, maybe torpedoes. They do have some small submarines, but they do have aircraft. They do have a lot of missiles. And we don't know just how much damage they could do, but it could be really bad. And of course, if things go completely bad and the US is like, we're going to attack Iran with a nuclear weapon, at that point, Iran's going to say, okay, you know what? You can do that. And you can take this thing, but so far. But if it does, we're just going to flatten all of the oil infrastructure in the region, and then we'll wipe out your economy once and for all, which it would do. It would wipe out the entire Western economy, flatten, really just completely destabilize the world economy, but the Western economy would be flat. Might I say that if the oil was wiped out in the infrastructure was wiped out in the Middle East and in the Gulf countries, at that point, Russia would be the world's oil provider, the world's energy provider, because a lot of gas comes out of the Middle East too. And the price would be through the roof, and Russia would be the only gas station in town. So they'd be extremely powerful. And you know what Russia would say to the US and Europe, no, sorry, we're only selling to Africa. We're going to sell to Europe. We're going to sell to Asia and Africa and South America. You ain't get none of it. None of it. So best of luck there. Excuse me again. Best of luck there, Skippy. So, will the U.S. attack Iran? It's possible. I'm doubtful. But what we got now is something else too, and that is the government of Qatar has been exposed. I heard someone saying they were humiliated. No, they weren't humiliated. They were exposed. The government of Qatar, as many of these Gulf monarch families, here's the truth. They're puppets for the U.S. and British Empire. You don't have control over your own airspace. They're like, oh, they violated our sovereignty. You don't have any sovereignty. You have no sovereignty. You can't violate what you don't have. So Qatar has no sovereignty. Their sovereignty has not been violated. That's the numero uno, number one. Number two, from the looks of things, they're going to maybe gripe and grumble a little bit. They'll send a letter, maybe a strongly worded tweet. That's it. Everybody knows what Qatar is. Qatar knows, everybody knows. It's like the old guy who's a billionaire and you see him with some young Instagram model and he marries this young Instagram model. Everybody knows who she is. Everybody knows what she's doing. Everybody knows why she married the 60-year-old billionaire when she's a 25-year-old Instagram model with the showing the boobs and showing all of the shapes. And then the old 60-year-old billionaire sees her and has his people call her and brings her in and says, how would you like to be rich? Just give me all the sex I want and you'll be rich. And she says, of course. Why do you think I put myself on Instagram every day, hoping for just this opportunity? And then they set up kind of some kind of thing where she'll be there for a year or two or a couple years, and then she'll move on and she'll walk away with, some millions or whatever. But everybody knows when they see who she is and what's going on there. Everybody knows what time it is. People ain't even hating. They're just like, hey, that's her choice. That's his choice. He's got the money. She's got the looks. And they've made their decision, right? None of my business. Well, I think that's the deal on the Doha government. It's like, okay, you are one of these families of in the Gulf. We're looking at the Pikes. What is it? Pikes Pico, Seco, whatever the hell it is, Pikes Pico. We're looking at an arrangement that was made with the Brits, with drawing borders, with putting people in power so that the British Empire could continue to control things. And the U.S. is now part of that whole agreement. And you, as a family, your job is to be really, really rich as a family, to keep the people in your country, to keep their mouth shut, while a significant part of the money from your resources is pilfered by the U.S. and particularly England. Okay, so that's your job. Everybody knows it. And the fact of the matter, even the people in your country know it, but they're like, you know what? As long as life is pretty good for us, we'll keep our mouth shut, because everybody knows what time it is. You're a hooker, effectively, a high-class hooker. That's what a lot of the Gulf country governments are. You go to Africa, go to South America. There's all over the world. You'll find a lot of governments that are high-class hookers. They're kept in power by the U.S. and the Brits or French or whoever the heck. Now, mostly the U.S. and Brits. The U.S. the Brits are the MI6. Excuse me, consider themselves the brains, and the U.S. is the muscle. The U.S. is the gorillas. They're the ones that come in and punch things around and blow things up, and then keep these people in power. So will Qatar complain? Oh, I can't believe they violated our sovereignty. You don't have sovereignty. They violated our airspace. You got no airspace. We were talking, and they came in and did a terrible thing. Shut up. This is all performative. The whole thing is performative. Everybody knows it's even performative. The U.S. empire is going to pretend they didn't know, or whatever. Well, maybe this shouldn't have happened. It's unfortunate. They'll say like it's an unfortunate incident, and the Trump administration won't come out and say we were behind it 100%. But Trump threatened on Monday. Trump's like, this is your last warning, Hamas. And then the next day, boom, somebody tried to kill all the guys in Hamas. Well, let's see. Trump said it was their last warning yesterday, and they get attacked today. I wonder if Trump knew about that. I wonder if he had anything to do with it. You got to be pretty stupid and naive to ask that question. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's look. Do we have we got a couple super chats. So let's look. We got one super chat. Israel Minister Offshrock. The era of considering Qatar an immune state that cannot be targeted is over. There was never. Look, it is what it is. This is, it's funny, an immune state that cannot be targeted. The Israelis, the U.S., basically, they're proxies. They can do whatever they want in the Gulf countries. Now, I'll tell you this much. They know that Iran's an immune state, because Iran, if they quote strike or target Iran, they can target them all they want to. If they strike Iran's going to punch the hell out of them, and they know it. Iran will turn Israel into a moonscape, and what are they going to do about it? What are they going to do? Fire a nuke? They don't know if Iran has a nuke yet, and Iran also has the conventional capability to really hurt Israel. And of course, at that point, they wipe out all the infrastructure. See, keep in mind something. Israel only has power because Uncle Sam supports him. So if Iran wipes out all the oil infrastructure in the region and Uncle Sam is broke, Israel's broke. So that's why they got to be hesitant of how far they take it. But, they'll keep up what they're keeping up. At any rate, let me see. We got any more? I think that's it for the super chats. All right, guys. Well, I'm beat. As I said, somebody said, oh, the phone has to ring. Well, the phone, actually, it did ring. I left it in the other room plugged up, and I heard it ringing. And I'm like, well, good thing I didn't bring it in here. But at any rate, thanks a lot, everybody. I am beat. I might have to take a nap. I wanted to go to the gym, but I pretty much had it, man. So basically, in a nutshell, today, like last night, I had like made some spice shrimp and some other stuff, and I ate food. I was hungry. I ate some of this stuff before I go to bed, and the shrimp were like really hot. They had red pepper flakes on them, and I'm like, "Ooh, this has a bite to it." And I ate that, and I laid in bed. And as soon as I laid in bed, I realized, "Oh, that's right. Red pepper like get you up and going." Probably not a good idea to eat that really spicy stuff. And I laid in bed. I was like, "Oh, oing, 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 oing." My eyes were like this. I looked like a friggin' owl. And so that was pretty much all night. So, got a little bit of sleep, but now I'm yawning. All right, thanks a lot. As I got Patreon, PayPal, buy me a coffee, all that kind of stuff, trying to raise money, hopefully to go to Moscow with old Scott Ritter. And but we'll see how that goes right now. Haven't been raising a lot, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. Who knows what could happen? Maybe people change their minds or something. Got a P.O. box in case you want to send something in my snail mail. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good day. I'm out. Oh, share this on all your social media platforms.